It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Carson Newman's head track and field coach, Coach Kieran Showler Davis. How are you doing today?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching in college track and field?
So it was something I would say I kind of fell into somewhat. Both my parents are coaches, so I've always been around track and field coaching. They're athletes themselves, but towards the end of my time at Carson Newman, I was kind of a student coach, I would say. I was helping sort of coach the other sprinters on the team, and I just really enjoyed it and sort of just track's a sport I love and yeah, just kind of fell into it, enjoyed coaching, and then kind of just progressed through all the different roles of graduate assistant and assistant coach, and now on to head coach.
What was that experience like going to Carson Newman as an athlete and getting to compete?
I absolutely loved it. I think just being in championships where you have a chance of winning, so South Atlantic Conference, very competitive in the sprints, and then the Division Two national championships, having a chance to go there and make a final and pushing out for the top three. That was real exciting to me. So yeah, I absolutely love my experience here. Smaller school than um, Florida State that I went to previous, but I loved the small school feel and really enjoyed my time competing for Carson Newman.
As a collegiate athlete, what was it like getting to represent Carson Newman and putting on that track uniform for them?
I think it was big. They actually, I would say, um, were huge in me finishing my degree, Carson Newman. I was kind of back home in England, didn't know how I was going to be finishing university. And Coach Stepp, who was here previously, as the jumps coach, I knew him from my visit at FSU. And he kind of said, do you want to finish up university? Division two rules are different to Division one, so you still have eligibility. So yeah, when I finally got around to put on the Carson Newman orange and blue, yeah, I was very proud to wear that vest because of what they did for me.
How was that experience like, as you said, going from FSU to coming to Carson Newman?
So it was different. Obviously, Florida State's a huge school, lots of students. The athletics programs are humongous. But both of them, I love my time at both schools. I enjoyed the big school feel, and then I enjoy the sort of personal small school feel with Carson Newman. And tracks being individual. Um, you can still compete against the best people, even though you're at a smaller university. So it still was competitive, whatever place you're at. So yeah, I really enjoyed both experiences. I'm glad I had both experiences at both schools.
After your collegiate time competing in track and field, what was it like transitioning into going into the coaching side?
It was kind of tough to begin with. I still kind of wished I was on the other side of the fence, still competing. Um, and I still did for a little while. I was kind of coaching and competing unattached for a while. And I always say it's funny because whenever I did compete, all the athletes I was coaching all stepped up their game, so they didn't get beaten by their coach. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, it was different, but I still got that same buzz from coaching. I still do. I think I get more nervous on competition days as a coach than I did as an athlete. So you still kind of get that nice adrenaline buzz that you get on competition days, which I think is why I enjoy it so much.
What was that experience like for you getting to coach the hurdlers?
It's been fun. I've done hurdles when I was looking to be a multi-eventer when I was younger. but then I kind of just went down the sprints route. So now it's kind of fun to be able to come back and coach an event that I really enjoy, but just haven't been around as much. But yeah, it's been fun, sort of gaining knowledge myself in that area, and then being able to pass that on to the hurdles athletes. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it so far.
How is that feeling like when you got announced to become the head coach and the head cross country coach?
I was extremely excited. Coach Needs, our previous head coach, he done a amazing job in the position. We had a lot of success. So there's a bit of pressure that goes with it, but I'm excited for the challenge. I think Carson Newman has been sort of climbing up the ladder in Division Two in track. So I'm just very excited to sort of keep that ball rolling.
What is that feeling like for you getting to be the head coach at your alma mater?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. Sort of all the going through all those different positions. Like I said, student, graduate assistant, and assistant coach, now being head coach, and sort of being able to give back to the university that gave me so much. Yes, it's a really great feeling.
Through those different positions, what are some of the things that you've learned to help you to become the director of track and field and cross country?
I'd say a lot of it's just following what others have done before, seeing what's worked and what maybe hasn't worked. I think that's a big thing, is just asking questions, and just observing. And I think that's a big thing, is just soaking up everything. But yeah, um, I think yeah, that's a big thing, having just Coach Nees, who's so experienced, who was in that position beforehand, and he's still at the university now, just in a different position. So it's been great to sort of still have him there to help that transition somewhat.
For you as a new head coach and alma mater, what was that feeling like on your first track meet?
So we haven't had our first one yet, but I know it's going to be in December that we have our first meet, and I'm excited for our team this year. So I'm definitely going to be very excited to see the returners wearing the orange and blue again, and then the new athletes that we're bringing in this year that I'm really excited about. It's going to be exciting to see them put on the orange and blue as well.
What will that feeling feel like to get to step onto that track for the first time as a head coach?
I think just excitement, really. Just all round it's something that I've been thinking about for a while, and it was kind of a surprise when it happened that I was going to be made head coach, because Coach Needs have been in the position for a long time. So yeah, it's going to be different for sure. It's probably going to take a little while to get used to that. I'm the head coach, and I'm having to make some decisions here and there. But yeah, when they step out on the track, obviously, like I said, I get that real excitement, like I'm competing. So I think that will be the big emotion there.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've helped to build for the track program?
Say that again, sorry.
Can you talk about the culture that you have started to build for the track program?
So I feel like at Carson Newman, we've done a pretty good job over the years, when we're recruiting athletes, to sort of, when they come on a visit or when we talk to them over the phone, sort of get a feel for their character. And that's been a big thing for us early on. I feel like we would bring in people just on their talent and didn't really take into account personality, character, things like that. And we were kind of bitten a few times, with people that sort of didn't mesh with team culture. But I feel like we've done a really good job over the past 4 or 5 years of bringing in people that sort of do come in, and sort of relish or blend into the team culture. So I think the team kind of, I would say, the athletes on the team, most of them are very focused on track and field. So when people come in, they kind of take people under their wing, and it kind of just gets passed on from each class, okay, this is how we do things on the track team. So I think it's somewhat comes from the coaches down, but I think a lot of athletes take it on board and pass that on to the new students that come in. But I've really, really enjoyed our team culture over the past couple of years, and I'm sure that'll carry on.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes getting to compete in track and field?
So, track and field's fairly easy to sort of recruit in a way because you have databases. It's very objective. You ran a time, you can kind of look up someone's times and see how they stack up against other people, times in your conference, times at nationals. So you can kind of look at recruits that way. Sometimes recruits reach out to you. You might see a talented recruit on mile split that you reach out to as well. And we kind of look at athletes initially, are they a national caliber athlete? And then we'll look at them at a conference standpoint. So where they would finish in conference, how many points they might score. Then we would look at sort of potential where they might be in a few years' time. And then we also, a big thing for us is looking at local talent as well. So local high schools, we kind of, Carson Newman, pride ourselves on bringing in people from the local area and progressing them and hopefully taking them to nationals. It's always fun to take kids that have been in the area for a long time and have grown up around Carson Newman, having them part of the team and then go on to do big things on the track as well.
What is it like getting to see those prospective student athletes on that official visit fall in love with the campus of Carson Newman and the track facility?
Yeah, it's awesome. We would like to think that we're putting a good sort of product forward that people would enjoy. So it's always a great feeling when you can tell the athletes and their families when they're here on campus are enjoying it and they kind of could see it as somewhere that they could spend the next 4 years. So that's the biggest thing for us is that they come and they have a great experience here and then walk across that stage 4 or 5 years later with a degree, and then also just really, really enjoy their time as a athlete on the team as well. That's absolutely huge for us. So we always say here that a happy athlete's a fast athlete, so that's a big thing for us. If someone comes on their visit and Carson Newman's not for them, we're not going to pressure people. We know that people need to go where they're most comfortable and they feel like they would thrive the most. So yeah, that's the biggest thing for us is just making sure people have a great experience when they come here.
As a head coach and alma mater, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that uniform for the first time?
Yes, it's exciting. I know I use that word a lot, but it really is sort of seeing kids you might have recruited for a year or two. And sometimes that recruitment process can be sort of long and hard. So it's exciting when they finally get on campus and they start practicing and then, that's the fun part is competing. So see them finally go from just training to then being able to put on the uniform and compete their freshman year and kind of see where they're now at compared to their high school marks. Yes, it's something I look forward to every year. That first meet, kind of seeing where not just the returners, but the freshmen are at as well.
What is it like as a head coach getting to see them achieve those personal bests, whether it's in their sprinting, their hurdles, or their throwing?
Um, I'd say it's up there with one of the best feelings in the world. As an athlete, when you broke your personal best, that was like the highest high. And like I said, as a coach, you kind of get the same feelings as a coach as I did as an athlete. So when they break a personal best, I get just excited for them. And at the end of the day, that's what you're doing it for is trying to break your personal best. And sometimes they don't come around easy. So yeah, it's always big to celebrate it when someone finally does break a personal best.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you see during these meets?
So we kind of go all over. Sometimes you might not see teams until conference. But I'll say the teams that we see a lot at meets are Lenore Rhine, Tusculum, Limestone, Catawba. They're kind of the ones off the top of my head that I feel like we go to a lot of meets, and I always picture seeing their coaches and their athletes in their uniforms there.
What does a typical meet for you as a head coach look like when seeing teams like Lenore and Ryan?
Um, I'd say, you always want to keep tabs of the other teams in your conference, but for the most part, throughout the year, you're kind of trying to concentrate on yourself and the times that you can run, because in Division Two, it's kind of the times that get you to nationals. So I always kind of say to everyone, control the controllables, focus on what you're doing. You don't really need to focus on what others are doing. When it comes to conference, obviously, when you kind of it's all about points and placing. So then you kind of, even though you do just kind of need to focus on yourself and what you do, not get caught up in what others are doing, you kind of need to take stock in what the other teams in the conference are doing, where their scorers might be. But it's always nice. We have a good relationship with the other teams in our conference, so it's always nice going to meets and seeing their coaches and seeing their athletes. So but yeah, we try to obviously, and I'm sure those teams do as well, just sort of focus on your own lane, and focus on your own performance, and then sort of look at conference and nationals when it sort of comes to your placing in the race, rather than times so much.
As a coach, what is it like seeing their seniors put on that uniform for the last time?
Yeah, it's a sad feeling. You spend 4 years, 5 years potentially with those athletes, seeing them day in, day out. So when it's finally their last meet, and they're not going to put on that uniform again, it does get a little bit emotional. When you get back to campus, and usually by then their finals are done, so they're not even around for school anymore. So it's kind of, you're saying goodbye to them. And a lot of times people go off other places around the country after they graduate. So, you go from seeing someone every day pretty much to, you don't know when the next time you'll see them is. So yeah, it's fairly it's pretty emotional, but obviously now with technology, it's nice. You can keep in contact with people, see how they're doing. But yeah, it's sad seeing them, compete in that vest, that uniform for the last time.
What are some of your future plans for the program moving forward?
I would say, just keeping the momentum going that we've gained over the past couple of seasons. I think we've done a pretty good job. So just a few tweaks here and there, but for the most part, performance is number one. We still want to be doing really, really well at conference, and then going and being a really good conference team, a national team, sorry. That's sort of a huge goal for me. We had the men's team that finished in the top 10, was nearly in the top four. We were 2.5 points away from being a top four team at nationals 2 years back. So sort of seeing if we can keep teams in and around that area, and potentially move up higher. That would definitely be the goal, and then sort of get the women's side to match the men's side. That would be sort of the biggest goal for me.
Looking back on your career as a head coach, what would you tell your younger self that was in college looking at the career you have now coaching at your alma mater?
I would say, and I'd say I never was too afraid to fail, but just that, like as a coach, you're going to do things wrong, especially as a young coach. I was lucky to have, as I said, my dad was a coach, my mum was a coach, so I can lean on them for a lot of things. I speak to my old coach, Ken Harnden, a fair amount about things, other athletes. So try to gain as much knowledge as you can, but also don't be afraid to fail. You're gonna try things and they might not work, but you have to sort of figure things out, and then kind of figure out what works as well, and then sort of don't go too far away from that. Just make tweaks here and there. Don't make crazy big changes if things are working for you. So I'll say that just soak up as much knowledge as you can, and then don't be afraid to try things.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college track and field?
I would say don't put too much pressure on yourself. I think some athletes turn up and they think, oh, I'm in college now, I need to, you know, heap all this pressure on myself. I'm going to do this, that this year. But yeah, I would say just come in and just enjoy the experience. Like I said, if a happy athlete's a fast athlete. So if you come into college and you're putting all this pressure on yourself to do really like come in and knock it out of the park as a freshman, sometimes that pressure can get too much, especially with changes of living away from home, the pressure that comes with school, and then socializing, finding time for that, life outside of college and track. So yeah, I wouldn't put too much pressure on yourself. Obviously, work hard and then just enjoy being part of the team and competing and training and sort of just enjoy the journey of it.
What advice would you give those college juniors out there transitioning from being juniors to leading the program as seniors?
I would say same thing, just work hard, enjoy your time in high school. Everything goes by fast, so enjoy what you're doing right now. Don't be too fast to look into the future and just be like, I want to get to college. Enjoy that senior year, because in the future we'll look back and remember it as a real good time. And obviously, I'd say if you are planning on going to college to run track, then definitely the earlier the better to start looking at programs, feeling out programs and coaches, and kind of getting a feel for where you want to go. It's an important 4 years, those next 4 years. So you kind of don't want to rush a decision. You want to make sure it's 100% right for you. And it's somewhere that, like I said, you're going to be happy, you're going to thrive on the track and in the classroom. So yeah, definitely get sort of a early head start um, in your recruitment process.
What advice would you give those rising collegiate juniors out there transitioning into being seniors and leading the program?
I would say the same thing. Just enjoy that last year that you're going to have. The college 4 years goes by really really fast, and I'm sure they feel that they were a freshman and then they blinked and they're in their senior year. So just take it all in. Don't try and rush. And some people might want to rush and get into the working world, but yeah, I would say college is one of the best times of your life. So enjoy it. It might be your last year competing. Just take it all in, work hard, and have fun with it.
What advice would you give those collegiate seniors out there transitioning into being coaches or getting into competing professionally for US for track?
I would say um, kind of have a plan of what you're wanting to do. And like I said, soak up the knowledge, ask around, ask people about how they transitioned from that period to because it can be hard, if you finally stop competing, that can be hard going into coaching. Hopefully, coaching can sort of fill that void a little bit, and then going from sort of having a collegiate setup to then being a professional. Sometimes that's not as easy as people think, and you change coach, you move somewhere different, you got different teammates. So yeah, I'll lean on other people and ask them about their experience and how to sort of ease that transition into the next phase.
What advice would you give those coaches looking to coach at their alma mater like you have?
I'd say just enjoy it. It's somewhere that and somewhere that you're comfortable. And it's always fun, trying to raise the profile of the school that you competed at. So yeah, I would say just enjoy being back or continuing what you're doing. And yeah, that's the biggest thing. Just trying to put the school year out on the map.
What advice would you give those head coaches looking to coach on the collegiate level and leading the program and building a program?
Um, I would say, if you make that decision, it's a fun one. You're having a big input into young people's lives. It's a big sort of transition age from high school to college, and then you're sort of preparing them for going into the working world as adults. So um, it is a very, very rewarding profession, I would say. So yeah, just be prepared for that. That it's not just coaching. You kind of have to wear a lot of different hats when it comes to the job, and then it's definitely a people profession. So sort of guiding these athletes, making them independent, and sort of preparing them for the next stage of life is big, not just getting the results on the track.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the program at?
I'm on Instagram myself, Facebook, Twitter or X now, and then yeah, I track and field programs on Instagram as well. I think it's CNTFXC, I believe, on Instagram, and then my handle's Kieran D571 for most things.
Thank you again, Coach Kieran Showler Davis, for your interview, and best luck in your future as the head coach for track and field at Carson Newman.
Thank you very much.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Sherman, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.